Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Analytics Instrumentation Sync on the 4th of July, 2023. I think this is going to be a small one and it's the short one. We only have one quick topic I wanted to share. So Tanuja mainly drove this. So based on the incidents or the problems we had in the last few months, where a few times we had bugs or problems you could consider incidents, but didn't really have a process around handling them and escalating them. So that's why we decided that it should make sense to try to formalize this a bit more. You can find the link to the process in the agenda. We tried to keep it short. So the idea behind this is mainly that after talking to different stakeholders, our incidents, so that what we consider, what we had also recently, where maybe data was either, like event data was either getting lost or in danger of getting lost, does not really qualify as an incident in the normal GitLab sense, because all the normal GitLab incidents we talk about, so the like S1 to S4 incidents that happen and that kind of affect the whole engineering team, those are always customer facing. So in those cases, it's always about kind of, okay, something happens to a customer, especially S1 and S2, which are the ones that really lead to a lot of attention on the issues or on the incidents themselves. Those are defined as something that kind of leads to either data loss for the customer or somehow really harms a customer's experience. This is not the case with the incidents we were talking about, or that we had recently, where it's just about our data. Our data might get lost, or the event data might get lost. We had it happen that, for example, a service ping needed to be postponed, and we had to do a bit of juggling around. But when we look at it from a business point of view, this is still like, this is not nice, and this is definitely something we don't want to have happen, and that affects the business. At the same time, it doesn't affect the business in a as direct way as, for example, a customer having a bad experience and therefore running the risk of churning has. And so that's why we decided it doesn't make sense to use the normal incident process, which, like S1, S2 incidents, normal incidents, they are very disruptive to the overall like GitLab developer, or the developers working or being scheduled to be the ones on call, or as the incident managers. So it disrupts other people's work that don't necessarily have any context, and in general kind of focuses attention of a lot of people on that problem, and thereby carries a cost of kind of disrupting all those people. And in our case, that's not worth it to do that with the whole company. At the same time, those incidents are very important to us as a group. So again, I mean, although it's not kind of the same thing as a customer being directly affected, it is very bad if our data gets affected, and if people cannot trust our data anymore because, I don't know, days are missing, or it happens, those kinds of things happen repeatedly. And so we tried to come up with a process that kind of helps with that and helps shift the focus on when such an incident happens. This means that especially we have two kinds of severities, either high severity or medium severity. Especially for a high severity, which is like a impending loss of data, especially of business critical metrics. When that happens, that the whole team really focuses on whatever that incident is, and that we as fast as possible kind of figure out who is the DRI for working on it, and how can we make sure that we focus everything on it, rather than it kind of happening on the side like it happened when we had those incidents recently. This also includes, for example, opening up an issue that's really focused on the incident, opening a Slack channel that is focused on kind of the communication around the incidents, doing regular updates to our stakeholders, all those kinds of things. Again, you can find the incident description, or like how the process looks like now in our group's handbook page. If you have any comments to it, or if you have any suggestions how we should change it, feel free to do so. Like you can and feel or should feel encouraged to create MRs or issues around anything that you feel like should be done differently. This is just a first idea, or like first draft we want to start with. As any process that we have, this is also subject to change. I mean, I hope that we don't need to kind of invoke this anytime soon. That would be the ideal place, that like the next incident is so far away that we're going to have trouble reminding ourselves that there is an incident process. But if it comes down to it, if we again have an incident, then the idea is to start out using this process and then iteratively also changing it as soon as we kind of have it running like in the real world, and see what works, what doesn't work. So it's definitely not set in stone. Right. I don't know, Nico, do you have any questions directly on the incident process?
To be honest, I did participate in, mostly as observer, in the iteration of creating this process. So I'm familiar. I don't have questions yet. I hope we'll never need it, but yeah. It's hard to say, because usually incidents happening and you in a panic and you don't know what to do. I see the page has a point what to do inside incident resolution. So we'll just try to follow it and iterate from here. If it's clear, if it's kind of lets us to react. But in theory, it sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of one of those strange points where on the one hand we would need to have incidents happen to kind of improve the process, but we at the same time we definitely don't want any incidents to happen. All right, but I think that's it. We don't have any more topics in the agenda for today. Then yeah, have a nice week and see you around later.